In 1275, a Sienese apothecary paid his taxes in spiced cake. In 1490, a pope's single letter transformed Germany's most famous Christmas bread forever. And in Soviet Ukraine, grandmothers guarded pastry recipes like state secrets. 12 holiday bakes once anchored winter across old Europe. Today, almost no grandmother alive remembers how to make them or what they were really for. When winter pressed in, English families gathered for Twelfth Night, passing slices of cake laced with candied peel and a faint sheen of brandy. Hidden inside was a dried bean, sometimes a pea. Whoever bit into the bean became king for the night, and if it was the pea, the queen. The rest played along, following the new monarch's whims. Samuel Pepys, in his 1668 diary, described the laughter and chaos and wrote that it was a great cake for the night of Saturnalia, as the king for a night ruled by luck, not birth. Parish records from the 1700s list the cake as a communal centerpiece, a brief overturning of order before the candles burned out. Beyond the family table, winter rituals spilled into the streets. In Cheshire and Lancashire, children and the poor went door to door on All Souls' Day, singing the chant, "Soul, soul, soul cake, please good missus, a soul cake." In return for these dense, spiced biscuits, shortbread-like and dusted with nutmeg and cinnamon, they promised prayers for the dead. A 1525 parish ordinance required souling cakes as charity, and a 17th century ledger preserved the chant's words. The tradition offered both comfort and a safety net, but recipes were rarely written down. Each village had its own version, the blend of spices and the size of the cakes shifting from house to house. Over time, the custom faded under Reformation pressure, replaced by new holidays and commercial sweets. What survives is pieced together from scraps, a chant, a fragment of a recipe, a memory of doorways and cold hands. Further south, Siena's apothecaries crafted panforte, first entered in the city's 1275 tax ledger. Originally, it was a medicinal cake, dense with honey, pepper, cloves, cinnamon, coriander, almonds, and candied orange peel. Panforte could pay taxes or tithes, its worth measured by the weight of imported pepper. As spice taxes rose and tastes changed, the fiery, pepper-heavy panforte softened into the sweet, mild version found in shops today. Its medicinal bite is now a memory, its story scattered between bakery windows and museum glass. In the north, winter scarcity shaped every loaf. In 1385, a brewer's ledger from Stockholm records Vortbröd, a holiday bread made with wort, the sweet runoff from ale making. Brewers handed the malty liquid to bakers, who folded it into rye dough, squeezing out every bit of flavor and energy. The result was a dense, caramel-scented loaf, its taste echoing the tavern's warmth and the reality that nothing could be wasted when grain was precious and nights were long. Eastward, Finnish farmers braced for months of darkness and biting cold. The 1852 agricultural report describes juululimpu, a rye bread streaked with blackstrap molasses, sometimes imported, sometimes boiled from beets. Each slice was heavy with calories, sticky with the taste of stored sunlight. Paired with pickled herring and hard-boiled eggs, it stretched what little the cellar offered. Today, juululimpu survives mostly in bakeries, its slow, sticky preparation replaced by lighter, wheat-based loaves in home kitchens. Holiday baking once meant hours of labor. In Poland and the Carpathians, Mikołaj poppy seed roll was a test of patience. A 1790 Polish illustration shows hands grinding poppy seeds for half a day, turning them into a filling sweetened with honey and orange peel. The dough was rolled thin, then braided and baked. Both Poland and Croatia lay claim to the pastry, but its journey across borders hints at a shared craving for richness in the bleakest season. Canned poppy paste, arriving only in the late 20th century, could not rescue the tradition from fading. In France, bread sometimes took the shape of the Yule log itself. A 1520 household inventory lists a bread log among Christmas stores, and a 1560 poem describes a honey-glazed, spiced loaf standing in for firewood when open hearths disappeared. This pre-Bouche bridged baker and hearth, a symbol of warmth and renewal. Each loaf, shaped by climate and labor, carried the memory of survival and celebration. A single sheet of parchment, sealed in Rome in 1490, once determined how an entire city could taste Christmas. Pope Innocent VIII's butter letter, written after 40 years of Saxon petitioning, granted Dresden's bakers the right to use butter in their Advent bread if they paid a yearly fee to the church. Until then, Stollen was a lean, almost penitential loaf, made from flour, water, yeast, and oil, as decreed by Lenten restrictions. The butter letter did not just enrich a recipe, it drew a bright line between those who could afford the papal fee and those who could not. Guild bakers in Dresden, their numbers capped at 150 by municipal law, guarded the formula and the privilege. The city's ledger, dated 1745, records the output of stolen loaves, each one a symbol of civic pride and papal favor. The Stollen's transformation, from austere bread to a buttery, fruit-laden centerpiece, was both a culinary and a legal event, echoing through centuries. Even now, the Stollen seal, stamped with Augustus II's likeness, is awarded only to licensed bakers, a ritual that outlasts the memory of the butter letter itself. In Prague, the right to bake Vinoka was not a family affair, but a matter of guild charters and civic order. The 1789 charter reserved the privilege for the St. Nicholas bakers, and only those trained in the intricate 6-strand or 9-strand braids could produce the festive loaf. Each braid was more than decorative. Tradition demanded complexity, 3 strands for the Holy Trinity, 6 or 9 for prosperity and protection. A hidden poppy seed coin slipped into the dough promised luck to whoever found it. The recipe's richness, eggs, butter, raisins, and almonds, was a public display of skill and access, not domestic generosity. By the late 1800s, as guilds dissolved and the barriers fell, Vinoka left the hands of a few master bakers and entered the home kitchen, but the elaborate braiding faded. Today, most loaves are machine-made, the old patterns simplified or forgotten. The memory of the licensed baker, standing at his bench, weaving dough into edible architecture, lingers only in faded charters and the rare ceremonial loaf baked for show. Inside a cramped Moscow apartment in 1962, a grandmother lowers her voice as she kneads dough for pericladonets. She glances at the door before whispering the secret: 4 layers, 4 fillings, cottage cheese, poppy seed, apricot jam, honey. Each layer must be thin, the fillings spread edge to edge, the order never written down. Her hands work quickly, but the process is slow by necessity, every movement a quiet act of memory and resistance. The oral transcript from that year records her words: "We bake it for Christmas but never tell the neighbors. If they ask, it is just bread." Under Soviet rationing, ingredients were scavenged over months, and the finished cake was hidden behind the stove until the holiday meal. No official recipe survives, only the memory of a baker who risked reprisal to keep the tradition alive. In western Ukraine, Christmas Eve begins with kutia, a bowl of boiled wheat berries, honey, poppy seeds, and toasted almonds. The matriarch lifts the spoon and flings a portion at the ceiling. The higher it sticks, the more plentiful the coming year. A 1923 field notebook describes the ritual in detail. The family gathers. The eldest offers the first spoonful to the ancestors, then the hopeful toss. The dish itself is simple, but the ritual binds generations. In the years that followed, Soviet authorities discouraged religious feasts, and kutia became a private act, performed behind closed curtains, the field notes nearly lost in the chaos of war and migration. Today, most city kitchens skip the ceremony. Wheat is replaced by rice, honey by sugar, and the ceiling toss is a story told more often than performed. Further west, in the Swiss Alps, treboli dough is shaped into slender sticks and left to dry on the rooftop overnight. A diary from 1612 records the method. Placed on the eaves until the dawn, the frost cracks them crisp. The drying step, once essential for texture and preservation, demanded patience and a watchful eye. Now, with modern ovens and packaged biscuits, the tradition has vanished from all but a few mountain villages. The patience required to wait for the right weather, clear, cold, and dry, has faded, replaced by speed and convenience. Grandchildren know the name, perhaps, but not the sound of a wafer snapping in the morning chill. In these silent kitchens, what endures is not the recipe, but the memory of hands working in secret, the echo of a tradition nearly gone. Across Europe, rituals once bound families with beans, poppy seeds, or sacred wheat. Now, most recipes survive only as fragments, if at all. As convenience eclipses memory, what disappears isn't just flavor, but centuries of meaning. Every forgotten bake is a vanished celebration. What traditions will we remember tomorrow?